in as the previous champ said, we've got to put something in our ballpark, and well, New Mexico's it. Black Widow to finish off. Okay, pretty standard, but we'll go with it. Black Widow for AG picks it at the end. But Sneaky, you kind of look a little bit confused.
Trying to figure out what map 3 is, but I mean, I feel like New Mexico is definitely quite the curveball because
True.
AG just so happens to be one of those teams that actually plays Mexico, so you know it's not going to be as surprising as some people do expect in the chat. So yeah, I feel like Q9, this is a very big risk, but hey, if you're going to take it up against any team, it is up against AG, so it's a very good risk for them if it does work.
For sure. I mean, you got to hold your cards close to your chest, right? Whenever you're coming into day number 1, you don't want to give everything away too quickly. Doing so gives at least some evidence and some preparation for your opponents a little bit later on.
Yeah, I mean, they've known this opponent as well. It's been coming for a long time, right? So they've done a lot of prep, so much familiarity between these two teams, what to expect from them. The Eagle Eye does scare me a little bit for Q9 given the result last time around, but I think they're banking on that was maybe going to come through, and they've got some tricks up their sleeve.
That's right. And by the way, map number 3 is going to be New Compound, not Black Widow. So it'll be New Compound. That's going to be a fun one. Either way, we've got a fun matchup. It's AG.AL. It's Q9 going down. They've got history, but one wants revenge, and that's AG.AL. Let's see if they can get it with Laz and Valdez.
Thank you so much, guys, on the desk. We are ready to jump straight into the action here for our third best of 3 of the day. It's been fun so far, a bit one-sided from what we have seen, but I'm hoping, Laz, that this one can be a bit more back and forth, a bit more exciting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like this is the matchup of the day, right? We were talking about 2 powerhouse teams in the Chinese region. We talk about AG being the defending champion, so there's a lot at stake here. In Q9, they have been able to beat them before, but the question is, now on the big stage, can they do it again, or is that pressure really going to crumble them?
Yeah, that really is the question, as we'll see what the forms look like this time around. As mentioned by our wonderful analyst desk, these two teams have a lot of that history, and AG is looking for big-time revenge, as we did see AG pushing out into A-Long, but they have not committed anywhere just yet. Taking their time with this first round, Q9 not looking to push up anywhere just yet either.
Yeah, and Q9 are still playing their same setup that we've seen before, right? I mean, this is where they actually played the same composition against, that was Baisha back in the CFPL, so they're kind of doing the 3-player stack. You still have the same players that are here, just kind of ready for the defense, but AG are definitely taking their time on this, and like you said, they have to make a move here pretty soon. It looks like it is underway now, but can these pistols be able to land something? And indeed it will, and it's AG that are able to find themselves this first opening duel. Guns are absolutely just firing off, but it's Q9 that seem to be the ones on the receiving end of this.
Yeah, absolutely. AG doing a great job of pushing in and taking over that A site, as a couple of kills were traded back at the very end, but Dway just so good, tapping the heads, picks up 2 kills, and secures that first round here for AG. This is kind of what we expected right from the get-go. AG with some nice aggression, and they're trying to make a statement right from the get-go.
Yeah, and it's an interesting point, right? Because the desk, I think they did a great job of just like highlighting a little bit about like, look, like Q9 have to play the defending champs. That's a lot to bring into this. I mean, and again, they have that little bit of a, you know, a buffer where they have been able to beat them online, but now this is a very different, you know, state, and now AG, they're winning these opening kills. So this is a big thing for them because now it's just, again, that confidence just is building quicker and quicker. And look at how fast they're just taking the site control. They're not even going to let off the gas at all. But look at Q9. They actually do respond back quickly, and things are getting a little bit more chaotic. We're back down to the 2v2, and that C4 still has to get planted. But again, there's lots of time. They don't have to rush it.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty good spot for AG, just getting into a 2-on-2 with the bomb planted on the B site. This is not the easiest spot to push, but they're able to get a nice little position here. DOO up in the top, up the stairs, but Koi's going to be the first one who does hit the shots. ZQ trying to poke out, but has to take the 1v2, doesn't go for him. And Q9 will get the defuse for the 1-1 scoreline. So this time maybe a little bit too much from AG as they pushed into the B site, took a lot of casualties, and unfortunately do drop the round.
Yeah, the one thing I do like, though, is the fact that AG, like, again, they get in that hotel, they find that opening duel right away, and then they just kind of go for it. They don't just wait it out. Like, you kind of notice teams like to kind of sit back and kind of evaluate. They were like, you know what? No, let's just go for it. Let's just see what we can do. It doesn't work out for them, but again, it's a good pace that we get to see from them, right? It's just kind of mixing things up, getting a little bit of a feeler. They're still early on in this game, so it's good experimenting coming in from both these teams. But, you know, thankfully for Q9, being able to find themselves around back is definitely going to feel a lot better, right? Again, we talk about this pressure and all the nervousness. Now that can be a little bit more at ease for the time being.
Yeah, definitely feels pretty good for them to be able to tie it up. As now AG gonna just sit around the middle of the map here, around the tower. We see some grenades. A lot of grenades were thrown into the hotel, but Q9 didn't take too much damage there. And just waiting this one out to start with. Always got to be careful when AG's on the opposite side. Q9 did a fantastic job of that in the playoffs of CFPL, but now we're here at the big stage in EWC, and we'll have to see what kind of read they have on AG this time around.
Yeah, very interesting approach, too, from AG. You can see the positioning that they're actually trying to fight for right now, and it's just full execution, good nades, and now they've been able to get through the stairway, but they're going to try to cross through, and now Jouet trying to find that duel, but look at that. AG within a blink of an eye, they find themselves 2 kills, make it a third, and they are just mopping the floor right now with Q9. They do not seem to have any sort of a response. A little bit of damage here and there, but that is going to be a flawless round here for AG.AL.
Yeah, that one was a pretty cool assault there as well, just going straight up the middle. They had their smokes in position and just relentless aggression in through onto the B site. The entry was fantastic. As we're taking a look at the end of this round, just picking up the flawless there with nobody going down. Obviously very hyped are the side of AG. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we expected to see more of, those clean executes, those very aggressive pushes. The one in round 2 didn't necessarily work, although they did get the, they got the plant down. It wasn't, a total disaster. So things still going heavily in favor of AG so far.
Yeah, it has been really impressive, right? And that's where I think, again, they're kind of in the spotlight, and that's where the desk was talking about it. Like, for AG.AL, you're like, okay, what are you guys going to bring to the table? What are you going to be able to show a little bit earlier on in these opening matches, right? This is where you don't want to showcase everything necessarily, but they're going to have to get themselves in the win category. And now you can start to see, like you said, good executions coming through. They're taking their time with this so far. It's really that, Q9, they're the ones that are trying to make a bit of a statement if they can on this. But AG, once again, they're going to just get that tempo up here, Valdez. They're not going to wait things out. They're going to go for that execute and again find themselves in the position of getting that opening duel. And look at how fast the dominoes fall. It's just 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, at least XMY is able to get the one snipe, but you can see that Dre is just following him, not really giving him much space. And I think we'll eventually get the drop on him in mid. And there it is. He gets that kill. The trade back, and the last member does go down. So only 1-2-2-2 was the only casualty here for AG in that 4th round. And really, again, from what we've seen, it's just been clean executes, not a whole lot of waiting around, just getting in onto the sites and winning those duels very early on. Jouet has been hitting some nasty shots on these entries, and that's kind of what we can expect from them.
Yeah, the fact that he's sitting at a 6-1 and ZY right there with a 7-2, like both them together, just doing a ton of heavy lifting right now. So, and like you said, it's just clean, right? It's nothing too flashy, but it's again just like getting themselves in a decent position and just going for the full execute. Again, not a lot of hesitation. They're just committing to it. Q9 just can't seem to handle that pressure. And we've been able to see so far in this game in round 5 now, like we've been able to see every single time AG.AL, they're winning that opening duel. Like they've essentially been 5 for 5 here. Like is the way or 4 for 4, I should say. We should be seeing it. But Q9, they have to find a way that they have to push back, and they got to get a timing. And if they can get that opening duel, that really could shift the way that this could go. It just puts AG.AL maybe a little bit more in that break.
Yeah. It's just very difficult when, all the utility is flying over the top and hitting them straight in the face right as they enter. It's like a well-oiled machine so far. As he was trying to push up, but he gets punished. Just trying to catch them before the push comes in, and that's one way to get ahead of this push, but not if you die right on the get-go there. As 1-2-2 picks up the 2 kills. Koi gets a couple here on the trade. Lin W as well, but eventually Dude picks up 2 in a row. I think maybe a collab. I'm not sure it happened so quickly. But yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot from him, but he does pull up big there at the end of that round. And yeah, 4-1, and this easily could have been 5-0 as well as,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
They're coming out strong.
They really are, and this is what, is great to see, right? Because we have put them on a little bit of a pedestal, just saying, like, look, they put up a magnificent performance last year. For EWC, we're kind of expecting the same thing, and they're just doing it over and over again, right? Like, just running. They want to go for any sort of territory. It's theirs. A little bit of a reply back here from Koi, so this is a nice thing for Q9, but now you have to see, can these snipers be able to make the full effect? It does get a little bit of a blip on something, but again, instant trade out. And there it is, finally something from XJ. Can he be able to find the second? And indeed he does. So now we get to finally see a man advantage here for Q9, but we still have DOO that's alive here on the 1v2. Tons of time to remain here too, Valdez. So, I mean, really, the world is his oyster right now.
Yeah, it's not a very good oyster, but it is one.
It's an oyster.
It's an oyster. It counts, but, you know, it's not the easiest spot for him. As he does have a nice position here, but he doesn't have the crosshair in the right spot. So XJ, I think, picked up 3 kills on that defense of that push. And from what we've seen, the A pushes, the mid pushes have been strong. The B pushes, a little bit more difficult to pull off, especially if you don't get those initial kills. And you can see how it can all fall apart very quickly. XJ on the wraparound picked up that final kill onto DOO, and now it looks a little bit closer at the 4 and 2.
Yeah, it does. And like that's a really good point you bring up too, because it feels like, you know, for AG.AL, the A site has just been, you know, they've been able to take it pretty much every single time. It's really that B site now. They've lost the 2 rounds when they tried to go for it. But the thing is, I like what they're doing. Again, they're mixing things up. They're not just doing the same thing over and over again. They're kind of just, you know, experimenting with everything. They're playing the map. They're keeping Q9 on a guessing game. That's a really good thing to do on a team, like when they're playing the GR side, because when you're constantly guessing and trying to, you know, switch up your defensive composition, that could be really, really frustrating for the IGL. So I think it is good mind games we're seeing from AG.AL right now, but the timeout is going to be used, and I think it's very well timed out because we need to, you know, get things kind of cooled down. Q9 to be able to figure out, okay, how do we turn this around? I mean, the score is a little closer, but they still got some rounds they got to get back into this.
Yeah, attack pause coming in, just 15 seconds left. And this one was on the side of Q9, just trying to slow things down just a little bit. So you can see there, he's like, yeah, I get it, okay. I know what I gotta do. And, I mean, to be honest, the last couple of rounds have looked a little bit better for them, even if they did lose one of them. So, you know, AG, you know, coming out strong to begin with, but perhaps we will see a little bit of a closer match from here on out after the pause. We'll have to wait and see. As if I'm AG, I'd say, well, you know, look at the stats so far. Let's go push A. It's been working out. Let's just go ahead and try to throw another push in here, and that's exactly what they are going to do as the flashbangs do come down. ZY in through mid, and he's going to get sniped down as XMY is holding down the bot here. Does take out 2, make it 3, as he lines it up and essentially solo holds the A site, and DOO gets wrapped around on, and Q9, whatever they talked about in that pause worked out really well for them.
Absolutely, and yeah, XMY, like you said, they've been able to find 3 in that kind of a position. Again, all the players from AG.AL, they were different angles, different positions, and the fact that he was able to hold down with a triple, absolutely beautiful. And that's exactly what Q9 need, right? We need to see someone step up. That's where we were kind of commenting on that. Like, look, the firepower seems to be a little bit lackluster right now. Now that engine's starting to warm up a little bit. Now things are starting to look a little bit better. We're only talking about a 1-round differential, making this a tie game. So if we get to see rounds like that from Q9, I mean, this could easily be a tie game, if not maybe even Q9 to be able to squeak themselves the first half.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, coming in today, I thought this would be very back and forth. I don't think it should be a 2-0 by any means in the best of 3. I got a little bit worried, though, at the beginning when it was very AG one-sided, but that's the way it can go. I mean, their pushes are very clean, very crisp, and sometimes you just get caught off guard by them very early on, but it looks like Q9 has stabilized very well so far at the beginning of this Eagle Eye 2.0. As we have some nades thrown forward, but this is not a push to follow up on that. Not a whole lot of utility used just yet by the side of AG, as they are angling towards the A site. Maybe they're just going to go in for that one once again.
I wouldn't blame them. Again, it's just been easy executes, but this is the good thing from Q9. You can see the defense is now switched up their composition. This is something they did back in CFPL. This is a good little bit of a setup. I like that they have this heavier lean. This could be a little detrimental against AG.AL potentially, but It all depends on how they react to this. The nades are landing well. That first duel actually does go into effect here for Koi. Now XMY able to find himself 2 more kills, and that's exactly what we need. Now he's starting to cook a little bit better. Q9 seem to have been able to find themselves a little bit better footing since that timeout. And we got ourselves a looking like a 4-4 right here and now, unless we see, you know, DOO pull up a huge 1v5 with only, what, 37 seconds left?
Yeah, he's just going to hide in the corner and use it to essentially take an in-game timeout. This is something you can't do just to try to buy your team some time when you know it's like a 1v5 and you're a sniper. You don't have a lot of hope of actually taking down the rounds. And you can just sit back and essentially give your team a little bit of time to discuss what is going wrong, as things have certainly gone a little bit awry for the side of AG. I think their pushes are looking a lot like what we saw earlier on in the map, but they've been red so far. I think that Q9 have warmed up. They're hitting their shots now, and the pushes are getting a little bit more obvious. And so they might have to change up their game plan here, whereas for Q9, they've already made that adjustment and are looking strong.
Yeah, it just goes to show, like, again, when you do the tack timeout, how much it can really change things, right? And how much the game can just, you know, completely go the other way. And like that's where we were talking about, what, a 4-1 scoreline, and then all of a sudden Q9, now we're talking about a tie game. So like you said, they've been able to figure out something that is a tendency from AG.AL, but we'll see a little bit differently as AG.AL are actually going to switch up their attack on this, and they're not going to let their foot off the gas, but a little bit of exchanges, but XMY does find himself at least 1 kill, but that might not be enough, because right now AG.AL, they've only lost 1 player. C4 is going to get planted, so now this makes it even more problematic right now for Q9, and they're going to have to figure out how to do this retake, and this is not going to be easy, to say the least, and they've already lost another player.
Yeah, I think as long as AG get in there quick before they're really set up, it looks good for them. DOO, nice shot lined up here, and they hold on to the site, and at least they go over to 5-4 from the BL side, which is a pretty nice scoreline for them to start off the map. But certainly a bit of a hitch there halfway through where they dropped 3 rounds in a row. And now we got to see what Q9's aggression looks like, because AG.AL definitely can be one of these maps where, as we've seen from AG, if you get very aggressive, if you get very fast on your pushes, you can really take advantage of the GR side who is not quite set up, whereas it's AG actually who's pushing out of A long as I speak.
Yeah, that's really good though too. I like the fact that AG.AL are kind of, you know, again, going to put a little bit more pressure on this. They're going to get that map control right away. That's something Q9 weren't really able to do on their GR side. That was something that was a bit lackluster. So the fact that they've gone for this aggressive positioning is huge, because now they can kind of mix things up a little bit more. Q9, they're kind of getting themselves, you know, tucked in the corner a little bit here. They have to be able to land some big shots, but you still have to go against 2 different players here that are locking it down. You already have the rotate of 1-2-2-2 getting there. So this is not easy right now, to say the least, here for Q9, but I'm going to wait things out just a little bit still. Lots of time remaining on the clock. Another smoke going to get thrown here, so that will buy a little bit of time here for AG.AL. Q9, they look ready to go. They do not look like they're going to switch this up.
Yeah, this is a very brute force kind of attack. We're just going to send all 5 people down this one lane and try to push onto the B site. AG.AL, they essentially go out of A long and they say, well, I don't see anyone, and there's nobody in mid. So unless they're playing way back, we know where they are, which at this point it looks like they know where they are, with 3 people standing on the B site, 1 looking down mid, and just kind of that, you know, the fail-safe on A. And here comes the push. Some flashes over the top, and it's a bit of a slow and steady maneuver from the entire team. Staying hidden is AG.AL so far, but the push works out really well. 2 kills, 3 make it to the side of Q9, but now Dway able to pick up 2, and DOO picks up 1 as well, and they hold on at the very end of that push. And it looks like they want to back off, regroup, and let him plant.
Yeah, and this is not easy for XMY, right? Because again, he's only got that 28 seconds. He has to make a decision right now. Do I go for a fight, or do I want to go for this plant, and then I have to react so quickly? He actually does go wide, and there's a way to be able to take him down. So, wow, what a good amount of work here on the defense from AG.AL. I mean, again, it was looking like there was an opportunity where Q9 were going to be able to take that site. They took a lot longer than they should have. That smoke really became a nuisance for them. And that really was kind of the wrench in the gear, so to speak, because you could see that AG, they kind of just floated back towards B, and they had themselves right place, right time, and they get themselves an easy round.
Yeah, it's kind of insane how clutch Jue has been so far. And, you know, it was pretty consistent when they were on BL, but now on GR, it's one big round that essentially gets his team quite a strong lead here from the defender's side. And it's looking good for him and ZQ, it looks like, in terms of their KD. On the opposite side, you know, XJ, the only guy who's actually positive right now. Everybody else just kind of limping along. And that's pretty interesting, especially because the round score is not, you know, it's not super blown wide open just yet. It's only a difference of 2. But a lot of very dominant rounds from AG have led to these KD scores. And this time Q9, they're not going to push out of Hotel and full stack on a B. Looks like maybe just waiting for some aggression from AG, because as we saw in the last round, AG, they pushed out, they got some information. They said, well, we don't see anyone. They must be going B. And they used that to pull off the eventual defense.
Yeah, Q9 are really just taking their time, just trying to figure out what they want to do. And I'm actually surprised that DOO wasn't able to land that shot. It looked like it was pretty much right there, but it was just within a pixel, I think. But nonetheless, snipers have been getting some warning shots. A kneecap is spotted. You can just see the shoulder, but again, shot's not landing yet. These snipers not able to find anything yet, but they've been able to get a little bit of those close encounters. But now XMY, he's able to find himself that first opener. So first blood is going to be here on the side for Q9. So that's not a bad way for them to feel a little bit better about what they want to do. But you still have to worry about ZQ, as he might have himself a decent position here. He could be the thorn in the side potentially for these guys. They haven't been able to clear it. ZY, I don't know how he escapes with his life in that kind of a position. Q9, the firepower seems to be fizzling just a little bit more. And there it is, ZQ right in the back lines. He's just able to cause more problems. And Q9, this is just looking problematic to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, if you can push there and clear out the hotel and then go for the push and make it look clean, then sure. But even the push itself wasn't great. Koi trying to make something happen here, though. Pulled down to a 2-on-1, as now Koi has to check 2 angles. And ZY, so many kills in that round, as he is going to pick up the defuse as well. And AG.AL are kind of running away with this one now. The last couple of rounds, you could see strategically, certainly looked a lot better for AG.AL. And so far, I haven't been too impressed by Q9's Blacklist side.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like it's almost like obvious, right? Because we saw that last round. There were the 2 rounds before where they were going for that B execute. It was so obvious. AG took full control of, long A. Then they were like, okay, well, let's just group up at B. Let's just roll the dice. And it was easy, right? And it just, again, feels like Q9, they're kind of getting in their own heads a little bit. They're not really taking any sort of map presence. They're just kind of waiting things out. And then they're doing these obvious takes. So I think for AG, this is an easy read. And especially for such an experienced roster like this, right? I mean, this is where Q9, they have to be a little bit more experimental. They have to be a little bit more adventurous here with something different, because playing this slow pace, it's just not working right now. So they do have to figure out a way to change the tempo if they can. ZQ, talk about a tempo change. Oh my, I thought he was going to commit to it, but he decides to hold back. Q9 already down a player. So this gives the man advantage once again here for AG. And this is even more problematic, Valdez, because again, when you're on the BL side and when you're down the man, like, you got to work even harder to get yourself into that site, right? So this is where they've already struggled so far on the BL side, and it just seems like it's getting stacked against them.
Yeah, they haven't gotten a good plant and defend just yet. And do you see that XMY is trying to make some waves just by himself? No utility, gets the pick off, no trade back from 1-2 either. And that was his job, right? He was there essentially covering his back, his teammate's back of Dway, and was not able to get the trade back. So that is a nice 1-for-0 for Q9. And hopefully they can get something going off of the back of this. It does look like they want to push on to A with all 4 members grouping up here.
Yeah, but you can see again, AG, like, they have the full read on this, right? Like, look at their defensive composition right now. They got a little bit of the pyramid. Yeah, there's a good shot there. At least they find the 1. So this does bring it back to the 3-3, but now they have to get moving. Again, time is dwindling. The players now, you already have for 1-2-2 being able to go in the back lines, and that's going to be an issue right now for Q9. And the plant does come through. AG, ZQ, I was going to say that was a wide swing, but he survives it, but already a player's been able to slip underneath. He might be able to just find this. Oh my goodness. XJ finds it. now makes it even more of a tough task right now for ZQ. He has to put up the 1-on-2. He's got some time to work with, and he knows one of the players here, but he has to be able to find this duel, but not gonna happen. Q9 it was looking like all the cards were against them, but they pull up something, and they got themselves around.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we had XMY pushing up the middle, getting the 1-0, and essentially pulling back after that and regrouping and going for the push. That was, the beginning of the strong maneuver for them, as this is how XJ finished off that round, by the way. He's looking pretty strong right now, 13-7, still having a great map, and was essentially the anchor there at the end of that round after they got that plant. And things looking pretty good after that round, but again, they got to string more than just the one. It still feels like we got heavy advantage to AG.AL, and we do have a bit of a hotel clear from Q9, just poking their heads in, but again, no committal. Again, taking it a bit slower than we expect, and ZY maybe looking to punish this.
Ooh, ZQ got that little bit of a spot as well. Ooh, ZY, I thought that was close, but he actually takes a bit of damage himself, so HP's getting low. Q9 now kind of, again, they're getting some shots made here, but they have to make a decision. Do they stay or do they go? And it seems like, again, they're kind of planted in this spot. Still evaluating what they want to do. But AG, you can already see the aggression that's getting pushed here. 1-2-2-2. Look at that. Look at that amount of control and all that information he has. This is so impactful. Because now, if we see Q9 decide to change things up, he's already going to be in a prime position to be able to find maybe 1, if not 2 kills. That could just cause so much ruckus right now.
Yeah, and you can see Q9, they know that there is potential for somebody to be here as LinW's trying to check all the corners, but he already had position. He was already so secure in that corner. And now they got to clear it out. 1-2-2 knows that. He tries to get another kill. Doesn't quite do so, but at least takes some health down. And a nice bunch of damage goes into Koi. But let's see how they go for this push now, because there's only 30 seconds left. And once again, AG.AL are in position for the push. But that's first kill at XMY. Nice little shot here from Dway, as he has been so solid here tonight so far. There's another one. Lines up his second kill, and they're running out of time. I mean, there's only 20 seconds left, as Dway has not been rooted out. He's taken everyone down, picks up 4, and Dway is unstoppable.
Wow, that is beautiful. What a hold. And just, again, the individual prowess from this team, again, just shines bright when they need it. I was looking like Q9 was going to be able to maybe find themselves and steal a round away, but not going to happen. It's Dway that comes up massive with the quad kill like you talked about. Oh boy, they're making it look pretty easy. Now they got themselves 8, and we got 5 here for Q9, and this is where now Q9, they're going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to do something a little bit different here if they want to stay in this first map for Eagle-Eye 2.0. Otherwise, this thing could be over quick, and we go to New Mexico. But there it is, DOO being the aggressor. He's able to find that kill. Now he can just pull back if they want to. Q9, how do you respond to this? They're actually going to contest for it. They're going to try to go for this if they can, and somehow, in some way, they are actually able to pick this up. So now AG, they have to pull back on this. They have to kind of get themselves in a better setup.
Yeah, that was just straight up brute force. They're like, we know they're there. We know they're stuck on long A. Let's challenge them, throw some util in, and just peek them. It's a bold move, but it actually works out. And now we're at 3 against 3. And still, Q9 has to figure out how to break into this. Really, the biggest thing that's been striking to me is just how AG.AL are always in position for the push. This is not something we saw out of Q9 on the opposite side. They didn't always know. They weren't always ready. But it just feels like AG.AL kind of have that upper hand every time we see these pushes actually come in. Although now, this time, Q9 in the 3v3, they want to push down mid, where there should be a lot less defense. And that makes sense because they're going to have to try to hold down some of these sites with fewer members.
Yeah, but you got ZY close onto this too. So again, this is where he might be able to find something, but Q9 actually just taking this very slow, and there it is. Good shot from him, but now XMY, can he be able to find this trade back? Oh, he makes a bit of a shot, but nope, not going to happen. AG, oh my, ZY just be able to find the 2. He steals it away. Yeah, he's causing a lot of ruckus now, and so it looks like Q9 not in the best position, and AG are going to be able to have themselves now on map point. So this is now do or die here in the situation for Eagle-Eye and Q9. They have to dig absolutely deep, get out of this hole and find themselves some kind of new path if they want to stay alive in this one.
Yeah, unfortunately not able to replicate some of the success we saw in the CFPL playoffs for season 28, as now they're just going to get a grenade kill to start off the round. That's certainly one way to make a statement. We've already defeated you in terms of the gunplay, and now just a couple of grenades over the top. As here comes the push. Q9 not going to waste too much time with this. I say that, though, they do back away. All 4 members were outside of the hotel, and immediately AG.AL were swarming in. ZQ up there on the bridge, looking to get some exit kills, but they already got the 1, and they'll have to be okay with that. And take a look at where Dway is on the map. He is behind them, essentially.
This is what I love about this, though. They're playing the GR side like perfect. They're just getting the map control. They're putting so much presence on this, and it makes it even harder for Q9. So they're just allowing them to have free real estate without any sort of contention. So that's a big gap that we've noticed from Q9 so far on this map. It's been the biggest, pillar of success that I think from AG. They just been able to manipulate the map any way they want. Like, you pretty much have a sandwich right now, Valdez. Like, this is nuts. Yeah, they get a kill in the middle, sure, but look at you have 3 players in the back lines, and now if they want, they can just go for a full swing here, and they absolutely are. Jouet's going to be able to find that double, and it's all just down to nothing because it's going to be over, and Eagle-Eye, it is just done and dusted like that, and AG, they make it mincemeat.
Yeah, very easy stuff from the side of AG.AL, 10-5. On this pick of Eagle-Eye 2.0, looking strong to start off. They had a better very beginning start of the map, I think. They came out really fast, lightning fast almost on the BL side. Q9 struggled to catch up. They did catch up, but then once the sides swapped, I think it was really all AG.AL from there. So Q9 going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what was going wrong because they were not able to stop that onslaught. So really fun stuff so far here. First map does go to AG.AL, as we're going to take a look at some of the highlights and be back.
The match of the day goes the way of AG.AL for game 1, 10-5, but it was a battle through and through. Q9 making some silly mistakes. We'll talk all about that, but the energy from AG.AL is unmatched today. Nobody's been able to bring it like they did.
Yeah, I mean, it's the result we expected on Eagle-Eye, although, to be honest, a bit closer than I thought, considering last time they played, it was, a 10-1 scoreline on this map. It comes through as a bit of a punish in this veto. AG.AL looked very good out the gate with those executes, but I really like the adaptions we saw from Q9. I really feel like they were able to find their way back into that first half, but when they got to Blacklist, they just disappeared.
Yeah, Q9 making some crazy pushes.
Yeah, for sure. And at the same time, I feel like AG was also giving them a taste of a very aggressive GR side, which I've noticed that being the trend on Eagle-Eye especially, right? The moment you hear a push towards a B side, there's already a player on A long or A house, and there's going to be some presence on the mid side. And I feel like Q9, for some of the rounds, they did a really good job, no hesitation on the play whatsoever. But then some of the losses that I've seen on the rounds, they're kind of hesitating on the right play. I'm like, dude, he's right around the corner, just send it on him, because that would have given you a very big advantage in terms of map control those 2 times. I mean, Jouet and also 1222 taking that long house control. They could have just gotten a play off of that, and no, the hesitation's still there.
Yeah, I really liked that first half in particular. I think the first round win comes through off like a 2v1 conversion for Q9, and then they go into attack pause immediately after, and they're able to keep holding off these very comprehensive side hits coming into the A side. You could see the adaptation coming through from AG.AL. They were failing to get into A consecutively, so they start to change it up. They go for these mid splits, and as soon as AG.AL realized the way that Q9 were trying to counter them with the setups, they just immediately found a different answer elsewhere.
one of the biggest things that I think really hurt Q9 is, again, going back to the pushes. I mean, individually, just in 1v1s, you know, miss a shot. Okay, I'm just going to push with my secondary as quickly as I possibly can, as opposed to resetting, taking my time. Q9, a lot of moments where we were even saying to ourselves, what are you doing? Why are you making that push? You don't need to. You can play it a little bit slower. But for them, I think they just got a little bit too antsy.
Yeah.
Do they slow things down on New Mexico? Is that the play?
Yeah, that might be the way to go, but I feel like they should low-key play with Lin W. He's just been on an island this entire time that we've been seeing this AG.AL 2.0. He's getting really good opportunities for openings, but, you know, there's no, like, help on the side of Q9. You barely see you or YJ being around him, so yeah, I would like to see, you know, a lot more action based around Lin W, because he's getting your team very aggressive opportunities, but you know, it seems like the team is not taking full advantage of it.
There's some things you can't account for though. Like, look at the scoreboard, J-Way. 18 kills, was that 8 deaths? Like an absurd KD ratio. There were so many opportunities where it felt like the advantage was there for Q9, and then Dre just comes through with an insane multi-kill, like 3 Ks in the side hold. A, B, didn't matter where he was finding the multi and bringing back rounds that AG.AL actually let slip. So I think 10-5 is a little bit misleading.
Yeah, 10-5 is definitely, you know, somewhat misleading. You know, Q9, it was a bit more competitive than what the score suggests, but at the same time, you know, Joy, you can really see why he was the best entry in 2025. If it wasn't for no, of course, and but he was the best entry back in 2024 because, you know, the amount of space that he could just provide for his team, and the fact that he has no hesitation and he doesn't care if he dies or not, as long as he gets his team that opportunity.
That's right, an incredible game ahead of us. Q9 can absolutely fight back and give us our first game 3 of the day, but who knows if they'll be able to do so. All I know is map number 2 is going to be New Mexico, coming up after the break. AG.AL are currently in the driver's seat, forcing Q9 to come back going into New Mexico, a map that we don't see too often, and we weren't expecting to see this early. But one thing is for certain, Lucy, they've got history on this map.
Yeah, it's just a very close map last time the two played, and I think it's one that's definitely potential. I think when I saw the veto, this was the map that I thought, okay, there's a chance for Q9 to take this and make this a 3-map series. I always thought AG.AL was going to be the long shot. The fact they made that look so contestable does give me some hope. I think especially with the snipers, it did really feel like there was a bit more prowess from that on the Q9 side. We had saw some really good moments coming out from X and Y, but it didn't feel like DO was really as impactful in the server.
I feel like AG.AL came out the gate swinging, and the reason why is because they heard our pre-show. They heard everyone saying, is AG.AL still the team that won CFS 2025 Grand Finals in Chengdu? Are they still the team that won EWC? And they came out and they said, absolutely we are. That's why they're screaming. That's why they're pumped up, and that's why they want to take the fight to Q9 and take them down 2-0.
Yeah, for sure, and that is going to be the goal here for the side of AG, right? Especially knowing that they're going to have to send a message to the rest of the group. Hey, we are here to play. Granted, we lost to this Q9 squad, but international EWC, it's a different dimension for this team. And if AG can do this very early, then, you know, some teams are going to be quaking in their boots in Group A.
That's right, because arguably, if AG.AL does drop a map, even if it's to the respectable Q9, questions would still arise.
Yeah, and I think especially when you look at the other teams in this group, you start to think, okay, maybe there's some blood in the water. Maybe there is a chance here. They're not untouchable. You know, teams have beat them through the season. Already mentioned, Q9 has beat them. This team is not as unstoppable and impossible to beat as we've kind of maybe hyped them up to be.
Absolutely the case. New Mexico, we don't see it often. We'll see it here. What can we expect?
I mean, in New Mexico, of course, the map is very, very small. Honestly, you know me. Yeah, I'm one of the biggest haters of New Mexico in this map. But you're going to expect some very, very slow action. But, you know, at the same time, once the action starts, it's not really going to end anytime soon. So it's going to be one break point, and then whoever wins that break point just will possibly just get the entire round.
I'm okay with slow, especially from Q9. They've got to slow things down because the way that they were pushing fights was just so aggressive. I don't mind the idea, but the execution fell flat. It's AG.AL versus Q9. We're hopping into New Mexico. Will AG.AL close it out 2-0, or will Q9 extend the series life and give us a new compound? Let's find out with Laz at Valdez.
Thank you very much, guys, for that breakdown. As yes, we are indeed into New Mexico here for map number 2. Not very expected, but should be a lot of fun regardless. As Sneaky Frog, not the biggest fan of it, but to me, you know, the maps that don't get played a whole lot at least offer a chance for both of these teams to show off some new stuff, or, you know, maybe some upsets to come through. Maybe Q9 are able to snatch a map back here. Very curious to see how this one is going to play out.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the thing that's a little bit fun about this too is, I mean, the last time we saw these two teams play on this map was back in like July. So, I mean, we're talking, you know, at least over a month ago that's happened. And I mean, it was actually Q9 that were able to squeak themselves a 10-8 victory on this. So, I mean, anything's possible. And I mean, if they could be able to find themselves a W here, like we said, we actually moved to that third and final map, which would be new compound, which could mix things up a little bit. But I don't know, just given the way that we saw Q9 playing their BL side, like, I mean, this map is very much slow. We know it takes like a lot of time. It's very, you know, crunched in. It's not the easiest map really to work with, but we'll have to see what, you know, it comes into effect here for the BL side, because this is where if they can get themselves a couple rounds and they can get a good transition for that second half, yeah, then things get really interesting as a conversation for them to take this one away.
Yeah, absolutely does. It's a very grindy map, this one, you know, either you're slowly pushing forward with utility, you know, trying to take small portions of the already small map, or you're just sending it and seeing what happens after a while, because our teams generally don't like to send it right at the get-go. You know, they like to wait at least a minute or so and see what they can see, maybe catch their opponents making a mistake early on. But if that doesn't happen, we do get the slow push. As we do see, they have taken over the middle of the map now, just pushed through the smoke, flash into A, but that is not the direction they are going, actually, as smokes are going over the top. And they do want to attack into B, as already that's a kill from XMY. Has the angle, but DOO at least is able to trade one back. Does peek again into 3 people and goes down, but his teammates are right there to back him up, and Dre, once again, is coming up big here, picks up 2 kills.
Yeah, I like the idea from Q9. I like that little bit of a split attack. I thought that was, you know, creative. But again, it just, you know, you got to rely on the variable about, you know, the AG players. They have themselves a really good position as well. They hit their proper shots on this, and they get themselves around. But I think the idea that Q9 had, I like it in theory. But again, I think they just didn't account for like someone like DOO to kind of be in the sight. Also, you know, Jouet just being able to, you know, have his back as well, because you saw that, you know, Do went for the first shot, got the kill, went again, and he actually caught the leg of the other player, but he wasn't able to land the kill. At least he got some damage inflicted, but either way, AG, they continue on with their winning ways for now, but not a bad way for Q9 to kind of give us a little bit of a demonstration on this BL side, but we're going to need a lot more than that if they want to get themselves on the, you know, the rounds on the board.
Yeah, really, it does feel like the onus is on the BL team to try to figure out a way to peel apart the many layers of the onion of this defense on this map. It can be very difficult, but we've seen teams flip the tables on this one many a time in the past. So far, I mean, as you mentioned, nice idea, but execution not 100% there, and a good defense so far from AG.AL. And, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of what I'm expecting coming into this map number 2. I think AG.AL should be fine in this one. As you mentioned, before the last time they played, it was very close. But so far from what I've seen here at EWC, just in the first map of data that we have, it does feel like AG.AL is more on the ball so far.
Yeah, it seems like all their preparation is really starting to show a lot right now. I mean, this opening match, but it still seems like it's going to be a tough barrier for a lot of teams to be able to contest with AG the way they're playing right now, right? I mean, that 10-5 is a kind of funny score that we see on Eagle Eye. It was close, but not close, and considering the firepower from Q9 was pretty lackluster, that's where, for me, I hope we get to see players like Koi or like even XJ kind of just stepping it up a little bit more. XMY has been kind of picking up his pace, you know, as the game was going on, but it kind of felt a little too late, you know what I mean? But this is where, again, we're down to the less than a minute mark. Q9 are still trying to figure out something, but I can't believe Koi gets away with that kill, but he goes instantly to the grave, and there it is, AG just loading this kill feed one by one. And now Q9, their players dropping like flies, and they're going to make a little bit of a Hail Mary on this because, again, time is dwindling. This is where they have to make something happen. And now it's back to a 3-3.
Yeah, actually not the worst spot for them, but going to jump through the window, as that is 1 kill, make it 2. As XJ making this pretty interesting, wants it to do very low, and that is the pistol kill for XMY. Q9 finally back on the board. The beginning of that push, though, looked a little bit shaky. I mean, they pushed into A, but they didn't quite clear out the stairs. and the boxes, and they just kind of forced the plant. It was after the post plant that did come in that looked much better for Q9.
Yeah, it did. And again, it's just like someone, pulling up a little bit of a heroic, right? Like XMY just being able to put himself in a good position. Now he's, it's early on, but him and XJ, again, what we saw from map number 1, they're the 2 players that are putting up all the duels, really. So both them together having, 6 combined and 3 apiece. So this is where, again, we need more than just the 2 of them, right? This is where we need to see some of these other players, like, really starting to pick it up. Not making it a heavy backpack for these guys, because you're not going to be able to do that, right? You can't just have 2 players on the team just, being your, bright stars on it. You need to have everybody kind of on the same page. So we'll see what happens as the game goes on. And Q9 still just, again, going to slowly take them a little bit of time on this. Like we said, New Mexico is notorious for it. I do like New Mexico, though. I think it's a lot better than the old one. Like there is improvements made. So I know Sneaky's a hater, but look, like it's not as bad as it was, but it definitely still has some room for improvement. But I don't mind it for what it is right now.
Yeah, I think it's going in the right direction, right? Now I don't know.
Maybe more direction, but yeah. I'm with you.
I don't know how much more we are going to see of this map. I think it was a big surprise to see it even to start in this series, but we'll see how it does go from here. As finally the push is coming in, ZY not able to finish off the kill, and he gets traded out. So now LinW already essentially doing his job. They're going to back off, regroup here. Just about 50 seconds left for Q9 if they do want to try to go for this push here in just a moment. Still a couple of guys hanging out in the water, but the majority of the push actually coming into the middle of the map. Another flash to slow them down, and AG.AL seem to have a decent idea of what is coming, but we'll see if they can handle the push.
Yeah, and I like the idea that they just got to go for a bit of a 2-and-2 split. They kind of have to in this situation, but now they kind of mix things up again, so they put a lot of pressure for 1-2-2-2. He's in a really tight position. Oh, man. He was just hoping that he wasn't going to get cleared, because, again, if they wouldn't have, he could have been able to just, turn the round all the way for his favor, but now it's going to have to be AG. Somebody's going to have to be able to pick up some kills, but not going to happen. Q9 now. They have all 4 players alive here. 2 are very wounded, but now it's looking like Q9 might be able to find themselves a lead position for the first time we've been able to say it all in this entire series. And there it is. They get themselves a decent, round number 3.
Yeah, looks much better that time around. Just taking their time with the push. They got that first one-on-one that did go the way of LinW. And after that, just going for a nice straight-up push into B, taking the upper path. 1-2-2-2 going for a little bit of a cheese play, and he does get caught out. And once you get control of that B site and the upper area as well, that's just kind of locking it down. As AG, they were also kind of scrambling to get over there and defend the B site, especially because there was very little time. Joey got that 1 kill, and I'm sure they were thinking, and saying in comms, we can't hear them, but I can assume they were saying, hey, maybe we can get in, maybe we can stop the plant. Mm-hmm. And that kind of led to a bit of too aggressive of a play and a defense, perhaps. But yeah, Q9 really slowing it down to their pace, and this is definitely what you have to do. I mean, it's already looking pretty good for them the last couple of rounds going their way in much more dominant fashion than we've seen so far in this best of 3, and from the Blacklist side of New Mexico, feels much better. So we'll see if they can continue with this.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that cheese play that you were talking about, and honestly, I think if, Do would have been able to actually stay in the B site and actually played like kind of that first point of contact, that I think would have sold it better, right? The fact that 1-2-2-2 just kind of held the corner and was like, please don't clear me, that's a lot of risk, right? Like, I mean, that's bold. It's a bold move, but I'm like, I don't know if they're going to really get away with that, but I'll give him an A+ for some creativity. But look, now we can talk about duels that are looking decent right now for AG. They're just loading this kill feed. Look at how fast the Q9, they just get absolutely vaporized, and they only have 2 players alive left on this. They have Koi and XMY, but is this going to be enough? And AG, they're getting aggressive, but they kind of get a little bit of a counterback on this, but they still got the man advantage. 2 players very wounded. XMY, there is a position, a world where he could be able to find, some kills on this, but that position from Jouet is just too strong, and we got ourselves right back into a tie game.
Yeah, I like this from AG.AL where they say, well, we've lost a couple of rounds in a row. It felt like they didn't have a lot of control of those 2 rounds. They were winning some of the duels, but it was mostly Q9 that was kind of taking space, taking over, and kind of leading the charge in terms of the pace. But that time around, AG.AL say they're playing it very slowly. Let's just try to push in the mid and see if we can win a firefight. And they do with pretty flying colors. And from there, it's kind of a done deal in that round. And really mixes it up for Q9 as well because, you know, AG.AL for 3 rounds were very much playing defensively, sitting back on the sites, not really peeking them, and then all of a sudden, round 4 comes along, they get peeked and lose the round, so might bring in a little bit of fear into their gameplay.
Yeah, now we're back to the waiting game a little bit here, but you can see AG are still kind of keeping themselves moving. They're just making sure that utility is going to be afoot. They're going to get that smoke in that choke point. So, again, just being able to buy as much time as possible. Q9, this is where they have to make a decision. Now we get to see some nades getting thrown here. So smoke's double smoke wall is going to be put into place. Looks like Q9 not going to necessarily try to go where those smokes are placed. They're actually going to try to work around it. And even now, they see 1-2-2. He'll be able to make himself a little bit of a play in this position, and Sewer actually does find Lin, but Lin actually wins that first engagement. But it's an instant trade back. So both these teams kind of just throwing a couple jabs at each other. Still 4-4 now, with just under a minute remaining. This is where now Q9, this is what they were failing to do in the first map, right? They couldn't seem to react in the mid-rounds. This is where we need to see how much they can kind of get over that hump. This is where they need to do something a little bit more creative and kind of play it as a brute force that we saw before, but they're going to have to make it a little bit better of a connection piece. And you see ZY, he's close on by. He's actually getting aggressive, and that's a great kill, but it's, again, a trade back. XMY has just been the saving grace for this team.
Dio, they tried to push quickly in a B right afterwards, and they just got gunned down. So a bit of, I'm not really sure, a two-pronged approach here from Q9. It does not work out, and it's too slow and read like a book. XMY, he's hitting the shots, but listen, I mean, we could all have the ability to hit some big shots, but if as a team you're not getting those solid pushes in, it's not going to work out. And so AG.AL looking much better on the defense there. I like how they're poking and prodding once again. That's worked on the round that we had before. And again, they just kind of went in one by one into a sniper, no util, just pushing on a B, hoping he's not looking. And that's, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to work against AG.AL.
Exactly. Like you can't go against Dio like that. Like the guy's going to hit the shot, right? So it's like again, these kind of funny moves that we're seeing from both these teams, right? We talked about 1-2-2-2 being the cheese move. Now we see that Q9 are just trying to take sites without that proper util, and it's just, man, that's so much risk for, I don't know if it's really the reward at this point, but now we're going to see a little bit of a different stance here from Q9. Looks like they might even try to switch this up, maybe for a little bit of a palace pulp onto this one. We haven't been able to see that quite yet from either of these teams, obviously, or Q9 demonstrating it on the BL, but decides not to yet. At least they get that real estate, so now you can see that XMY, he can kind of play that position. He doesn't have to worry about someone behind the box, not somebody kind of lingering around there. So that gives them some better map control. So this actually is a little bit of a positive note, I would say, for Q9, is that they're fighting for real estate. And this is something that I was giving a lot of criticism for because I felt like that was very lax on the first map, but they've learned their lesson a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, the adjustment is nice. It has certainly made it closer than it was on the first map. We do have, once again, a little bit of a challenge from 1-2-2-2. Maybe going to look to fight XMY up there, up on top, but hasn't gone for it just yet. The rest of the team here, by the way, from Q9 has pushed into mid and is angling towards B. You can see that a lot of AG.AL members are already rotating over towards B, so getting some kind of inkling that this push is coming in, and they should be very ready for it as Dway picks up the first kill. Got a couple of guys up top, but they haven't even cleared the two members in the back of the site. As Koi comes in, he can't hit the shots at all, and the lockdown is right there. Only one death for AG.AL, and it is simple, easy pickings for them.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, right? I mean, it's one of those things. It's just like it's like a train wreck. I'm just like watching this, and I don't want to because you just see they can't land these shots. Like they get themselves in these kind of like little funny positions where they might be able to find a duel where a player's kind of fully exposed from AG.AL, but they just can't seem to get the aim into flourish in here. So this has kind of been a little bit of their demise, and AG have been able to kind of take that away in their effect, but. Again, these setups that they have on the defense have really just been primed up. I mean, this is where they haven't really shown a ton of weakness. They've been able to react to almost every single, form of attack that we're seeing from Q9. So you gotta, tip the hat a little bit here from AG.AL. Like the fact that they can react this way and just how well they're doing it, it's a sight to behold.
Yeah, 3 rounds in a row that have been pretty one-sided. Not extremely dominant, but. That's a good shot there with the nade as well. Going to do a little bit of damage to you. And, yeah, I mean, they were pushing through water down that length to be long, and they didn't quite commit to it, take a little bit of damage. They haven't taken much of the map. You talked about taking real estate. We actually did see, I think it was one of the members of AG.AL had pushed into mid. It was ZY, and he was landing pretty deep nades. Didn't see a whole lot, and so... Even though he doesn't see anyone, he gets information saying, hey, they're going to play passively once again. They're going to back off. And that just gives AG.AL at least a little bit of information to, handle the slower push that will come in here. It's just a bit of more of the same for Q9.
Oh, they might even try to go back for the split attack one more time, right? I mean, this is where you do the 3-2 on this, but the nades are kind of flying in here from AG.AL. They seem to have a bit of an inkling on this, and you can see DOO just kind of posted up in the site. He's got 1-2-2-2 there. Yeah, now it's obvious, right? Now that kill does come through, but look at how fast. This is all about, for Q9. They have to get out of this position. They do get themselves on better ground foot on this, and now that bomb should be able to get planted quickly. So now a difficult mission here for AG.AL. You have Jouet and ZQ still alive. But look at the positions from each of them. I mean, they're not close to each other. So they're kind of playing this individually at this point. Nade going to come in from Jouet, but that's a good kill from ZQ. Hang on, this is looking decent, maybe, but now it's down to the 1-on-2, but Q9 will respond back.
Yeah, just a little bit too much to do in the 2v4, but still a nice look. I do think that time around, AG.AL had a good read on when the push was going to come in, but once Q9 finally went for the push, it was a full commit. Like we saw flashes over the top, nades, smokes in their face. Dio, he got isolated on the site by himself. He didn't have a whole lot of backup because the first entry kill went the way of Q9. So that's kind of what you have to do. If you're going to go for a push, everybody has to be on the same page, going all at the same time. Throw in your util, isolate DOO, and then you'll gain access to the site. So that round looked a lot better, honestly. I think that Q9 still have a bit left in the tank. They picked up their 3rd round win from the Blacklist side, which is a pretty decent start here on this map of New Mexico.
It is, yeah, and that's where we talk about the BL side can be a little bit unforgiving on this map. So the fact that they're already sitting, like you said, at 3, like that's not a bad thing for them. If they could be able to find themselves even another one, that'd be huge, right? Just again, making that GR side a little bit more of a comfort for them. So far these executes, this is where their style on AG.AL was kind of begging the question about what they could bring into this map because they were playing so slow. They wanted to play these heavy execute setups, which I'm not totally against, but you kind of have to realize when it's not working. But in this map, it has been working. We have been able to see them get some decent executes, like you said. They've been able to make it look pretty decent and efficient. So that's where AG are going to have a conversation here as well during this timeout, just about, look, how do we want to do something a little bit more bold? Do we just want to play the same way we are right now? We'll have to see how much they want to make a bit of a statement onto this round number 8. And it already looks like they indeed might want to make a bit of a statement on this one. And indeed, they're going to go for a fight, but it does not go in their favor whatsoever. AG get mopped up.
Yeah, if there's 1 or 2 guys down there, maybe that's going to work. A couple of kills, by the way, did go to Dway is kind of the repeat down into waters. Works out really well. Now T.O. picks up another one, and they're just not ready for this. They're not expecting them to push that quickly. It doesn't quite matter because Q9 still clean it up, and you can see they're like, hey, what happened there? How did Drake come in and just kill us all again? How does he work his magic like that. But still a good round to Q9. I mean, they had a lot of guys down underwater. AG.AL, you were saying maybe they're going to mix it up and get aggressive. And they did, but they ran face first into a brick wall because they were just ready for that push. And they were able to hold it down in water. So now AG.AL kind of an awkward spot for them because it's 4-4 on New Mexico. And you're on the GR side. So not a whole lot of momentum going their way. Here comes Q9 already pushing B long, trying to maybe see what they can see. Based on what we've seen so far from their play, they're not going to commit until it's after a minute left on the clock. So wouldn't expect any action just yet.
No, it wouldn't be the Q9 way, right? I mean, this is where they would just want to pull back, and that's exactly what they're going to do, right? They're just going to sit back, relax a little bit, think a little bit different of an idea. They have been trying to take that B site, quite a few times, and they've done it over and over, which has been decent for them. It's been able to create a couple of rounds in their favor. So we'll see what they want to do in this round number 9 here for the remainder of the first half. And AG, they try to get aggressive like you talked about. It doesn't work out very well for them. It was a very unorthodox approach for them making it that close of a round. Like you said, like Jouet was able to go back really late and then he's able to find multi-kills somehow. But you can see now AG, they've actually changed up their composition once more. Put a lot more of a lean on this A side. And now this is where Q9, they have to be able to find that kill, but that's just Jouet again. Look at that. It's a masterpiece just putting up, multi-kills, but right back at it is Q9. We got ourselves a 2-2.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty close round at this point. I say that, immediately ZQ is going to pick up that 1 kill. At least XJ has got an angle here on B. He's going to be able to plant this pretty quickly. And as we can see, AG.AL members on the A site. So, going to have to regroup here. Looks like XJ coming in to challenge them. That's a very quick headshot, and all of a sudden, this is a much closer round than it could have been. ZQ wants to get in here once again, but there's so many places XJ can be. Can he check here on the right side? Yes, he does. ZQ gets the kill, and XJ can't believe it. And the 5th round for AG.AL will go their way.
Yeah, it was labored though, right? I mean, this is where AG really had to fight for this. It was not an easy half to say the least, but they do get themselves, the 1-round buffer. They get themselves the 5-4. Now we're going to be seeing the switch over where they're going to be on the BL side. So this is where being on the GR will be a big test for Q9 because being on the GR side, yes, it is more favored on this map, but I kind of wonder if like AG.AL get, the steamroller out and they're picking up these kills, like how well does Q9 react to it?
Mm-hmm. And I do think with the update, it has gotten a little bit more balanced. It's not like it was in the past where it was like,
yeah.
If you don't get 8 rounds on GR, you are screwed.
Yeah, like you're done. Like,
so I do like the changes that have been made and the various different paths you can take from the Blacklist side to try and peel apart this defense. And we're going to have to wait and see what AG.AL have in their pocket to do so. Nice nade timing. I feel like the timing reads from both of these teams have been pretty good on, understanding when they're going to be looking to peak, when they're going to be looking to push. And this looks like a very AG.AL type of push where it's full commit, full util over the top. Lin is in the corner here. He's flashed. He's down. And all of a sudden, the B site is open. They haven't full pushed onto it just yet. They're trying to clear out some of the corners with some more util. As you saw, XMY on the back of the site, just trying to get some poke shots. But bomb already planted, and they're not even fully committed to the site. They're way on the back here and just waiting for the push, looking to absorb the pressure of Q9.
Yeah, and even for DOO, he's able to get some good intel as well, that he knows there's some opponents here just on the other side of this wall. So the fact that he's not going to be able to find these kills, I don't know how 2 of them just go down. I was thinking there's an opportunity for the trade. ZY, blind as a bat. He's somehow alive. I don't know how he's able to be in that position, but ZQ has his back. And you could just see they're able to take a round away that I honestly was thinking Q9 had a good shot for, but that utility looked decent from Q9, but you got to give it up for ZQ. We talked so much about him and what he brings to this team, and there's a round right there.
Hey, you can see on the retake in the post plants, they got some good util in. Like the first couple of kills they got were really nice for Q9, but you just don't clear out one guy, he's going to make your life hell. Like he is going to kill the rest of you. And we did see that from ZQ and ZY in that round. So good start here for AG.AL, and you can know that they can. You could feel that they could already feel the victory in their hands, sitting at 6-4. They only need 4 rounds and a fantastic Blacklist round to start off with a quick plant. Not a lot of issues getting in onto the site. So even though it got close in the post plant, I think it's still a feel-good round for AG.AL. And what are they going to do this time? It does look like they're going to slow it down for now, but similar setup with 4 guys heading over towards B and make it 5.
Oh, yeah, they might even just try to do a bit of a deja vu on this, right? They just want to repeat it. It was a really clean execute, again, right? Just a couple.
That's some good French, by the way. It's really on topic. You know, we're in the right place to do it. So.
Thanks, man. Glad you picked up on it. Oh, boy. Well, good reaction, though, for XMY and also Koi. They're actually able to get themselves some decent kills here with the snipers, but it is a man advantage. AG still have ZY, ZQ, and DO alive, but now the C4 is going to go down. But look at Q9. This is a really interesting setup. They got the 2-2 split on this. So again, if they can time this right, especially with that 1-player advantage, this should be a decent position for them. Oh, that's a great kill.
The timing of DO releasing from that angle was very unfortunate. He's going to hit this shot, though. Looks for XJ, and he gets shot down by XJ. ZQ in the corner, but he gets cleared out, and that is going to be the round going to Q9. As that time around, you could see they got onto the site, but definitely felt a little bit more rickety in terms of their defense and their hold on the site after the plant. So still a very close map. I mean, Q9 are taking these rounds very close, even in the ones that they do lose. And we could easily see them come back from here.
No, you absolutely could. And that's where we were saying, like, you know, that first half was great because the fact that they were still able to get 4 rounds is a good way for them to be in a decent position for, you know, this game is still very much up in the air. Oh, wow. What is going on here? AG. They're just going to run on in. They don't even care. Not even any util at all. They're pretty much barely any util. They're just going to take this as dry as they can. And it doesn't seem like it was the play. They wanted to mix it up. They wanted to just increase the tempo. They wanted to go from, you know, 3rd gear to 5th gear. And unfortunately for them, it kind of crumbles and everything just breaks apart. And now it leaves it just down to DOO by himself on a 1-on-3 with no C4 on his back. Has to land these kills. Not going to happen. It's Koi to be able to put the nail to the coffin. And we have ourselves a tie game just like that.
Yeah. New Mexico, it was really close to last time they played it at 10-8. And right now it's 6-6. So really anybody's map from here. I think AG.AL that time around, it's an okay idea. Like going for this is fine. If you hit the shots on the entry, we're going to be singing their praises, right? Like, oh, this is AG.AL changing up the tempo. They look so good. Nobody can stop them, you know, but they do get stopped. So it's a totally different vibe, obviously, as they do go down. And it just looks a little bit silly. But I think the idea going for the play itself is fine, but the execution was not there. And I am very curious what they're going to bring out now after this tack pause, which they do pull out after, I think, 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's a good time for it, right? I mean, I think that, you know, the fact, like you said, if that round would have went their way, we would have been, yeah, again, a lot of praises. Like, look, that was sick. That was a great strat. But the fact that now they've lost quite a few consecutive, it's a good time just to kind of recollect the thoughts, have a good conversation with the coach, and just go, look, like, okay, what do we need to do differently here? We have ourselves a lead position. We lost the lead. We come back to a tie now. So this is where they're going to have to do something a little bit different. We've seen these B pops. They've looked good, but we're going to need a little bit more than that, right? We saw Q9. They were doing some nice little bit of 3-2 splits that were happening. They didn't always work out, but again, the theory crafting, I did enjoy that a lot. But just considering what the firepower you have of this AG team, maybe that is as simple as doing something like that.
Yeah, let's see what they do have prepared after the tack pause. And maybe they'll look to slow it down a little bit after what happened in the last round. And we do actually have Lin pushing out a little bit, actually, into the middle of the map. So maybe looking to get some more control. Not the most uncommon thing. You can throw some really deep smokes on a map this small and just get it right into the face of the attackers and essentially say, no, the middle of the map is ours. There's not really much you can do about it. We have so many different angles on this. It's another reason why this map can play out very slowly from Blacklist side. And really just waiting to see what the plan is, what the strategy is for AG.AL, which is really going to dictate what the tempo looks like for the rest of this map.
Yeah, it's kind of like wondering if they're ever going to like disobey the smoke here too, right? I was kind of thinking they have an opportunity where it is risky, but I mean, they could try to, you know, pop flash over it. They could try to just do something a little bit bold, but we've been able to see that they've been able to throw good smokes on the position of Koi's spot right here and now, but instead AG, not going to go for it. They're just going to play back a little bit. Having 1-2-2-2, just again, floating on the map. Everybody else kind of playing a little bit more clustered together. But Q9, you can see they're being active right now. They're running around. They're just, again, a lot of guessing, just trying to, you know, find the right read as much as they can. And that's kind of the tough part being on the GR side is like you're always on this little bit of a guess and you have no idea what is going to happen. But AG now getting some util thrown around here. This is where XJ, can he be able to find that kill? And he does. And now Yu needs to be able to find himself a couple kills if he can in this position. Even staying alive would just do a lot of praises, but at least that one does something. But it is here and now a 2v2. That C4 is in the sight, but again, you have some close company on this. And they're going to have to be careful on this one. It's all just down to Lin now.
Yeah, Dio, a couple of really clutch kills. It was 2-3 for them, and he picks up a third one at the ending half of this round. Just really good stuff from him in the clutch. Again, a pretty dangerous push to go just straight onto A, a bit more utility this time, as you mentioned, which eventually does allow them to take some of those close firefights that we did have. But yeah, once again, just some heroics from DOO. Or DOO. I'm thinking of like 1-2-2-2, you know, it's like
I know.
How many syllables do we have to put in?
I know.
It's always a fun time with their names. And yeah, I mean, AG.AL, they take the lead once again. Some heroics, though. That's not like the dominant flying colors win. And it really does feel a little bit like pulling teeth for AG.AL from the Blacklist side on this map.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I feel like when you play this map, it's almost nice to be on the BL side first, because then like if you can get yourself like what Q9 did, you get yourself 4 rounds, you're like, okay, you know, the mood's going to be good, confidence is high, everyone's going to be feeling really strong for the second half where, oh, I believe that's a collab for NX and Y. That's beautiful. And now AG, they tumble down like some timber, and they can't seem to find any sort of firing power at all in this game. And it seems like they're kind of fizzling a little bit. And Q9 on the brink here of putting themselves back into a tie game conversation, unless we see something absolutely, you know, out of the playbook here for ZY. But that would just be, I just feel like that'd be pandemonium. That just wouldn't even exist, right? These guys are sitting on the C4, and I mean, he's got a minute, but this would have to be fumbling the bag if I had to say so myself.
Yeah, Sneaky did say he's very good at closing out rounds, but I think this is too much to ask of him. As a nice try for ZY. And there's no more tack timeouts anymore. Both sides did use it early on in this map, so just going to have to figure it out from here with the players themselves. As this is the final shot. Actually, kind of close. He almost hits that kill onto XJ, but not quite close enough. Dio goes for the peek, doesn't see anyone. Eats a little bit of grenade damage. So, once again, very close here in this map.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, the last time was, you know, a 10-8 affair that did actually go for Q9. But again, that was a month ago. Different little bit of, you know, circumstances, things like that. So we'll see. Q9 still making it very competitive. We were kind of, you know, a little bit worried for their sake, just considering how Eagle Eye really did go, right? I mean, it really looked like they were, you know, we were just briefly talking about, like, kind of like shadows of themselves, right? They played scared. They didn't really look like the same Q9 that we've seen. Like, let's not even forget, like, in the CFPL, like, these guys were a team in the group stage where they're ranked, like, 7th, and they powerhouse their way through the bracket in the playoffs, and they put themselves in that lower bracket final, which is crazy, right? Like, I mean, they were able to beat EP, they beat AG, they were able to, you know, go the distance a little bit with, well, I mean, they didn't go the distance, but they went a 3-0 against Baisha, but still decent games, but nonetheless, they were still able to take down 2 pretty powerhouse teams.
Yeah, they just got to replicate some of that success in recent times here on this map. So far, there hasn't been much to do on this one for the first minute and a half, so just going to push in quickly as they find Lin. in the middle of the map. He was there for quite a long time. Generally, you don't see them hold down the middle of the map for that long, but now another kill goes over to Dway. XJ alone here, he gets isolated, and all of a sudden the defense is falling apart. Koi, though, picks up 2 and makes this a close one. Honestly, I feel like AG.AL had so much momentum, but Koi just going to stop them in their tracks. Still should be a plant at this point in time, as ZQ is going to put the bomb down. And it goes into a 2-on-2 post-plant situation. You do see that XMY and Koi in the middle of the map, but already the wraparound here from Dway. Okay, they're just going to, he pops up and they're just ready for it. And still a lot of time for them to try to retake this one.
Yeah, I don't get it. I thought he was going to actually just try to play the off angle a little bit on this, but now it puts ZQ in a big position for the 1-on-2. He does find that kill, but now he has to be able to find this last one. A little bit of ring around the rosy. A tap onto the C4. Oh, he's committing to it. ZQ goes to the swing, and oh my. So much pressure built, but he's still able to cook up something very delicious. But man, that was a little bit too close for comfort for my liking.
Yeah, it was really nice from ZQ. I mean, Dre was super low, which is why he goes for that aggressive push. But the timing here from ZQ, great, because even if he does die, like even if Koi is waiting for him there and he gets the shot, I think it's very close on the timing. So great timing from him. And also the 1v1, the firefight he took right before that one was very important, obviously, that he got the kill. Because if he loses there, that's just the end of the round. So big clutch from ZQ. And yeah, he's such a veteran. Like, he's so reliable. He's fantastic in positions like those. And you can really rely on him to get the job done. And he's got the most kills for the squad. Or, no, he doesn't, but he has the best KD, is what I meant to say. And he's looking good alongside of ZY and Dway, who are pulling their numbers. And, yeah, just keeping it close. AG.AL. Slight lead here, but still need 2 rounds from Blacklist, and it's not going to be an easy time the way that Q9 are looking like a much better team here on the second map.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up, too, because, again, I think the desk did a great job bringing this up, too, is the fact that, you know, when we saw AG.AL, we're talking about Q9, like, you had 2 players only that had themselves 14 kills and 13 kills. Everybody else was single digits, so it was not looking great. And now, it's not looking great now for Q9 because they've already lost 2 players. AG.AL now get themselves no damage inflicted against them right now. They're just picking up these kills. Finally, one of their team members goes down, but who cares? Now they're up at a 4-on-1. Unless we see Lin do something crazy with a rifle, he puts up a nice little bit of a double kill, but it's just not enough. And AG.AL now put themselves on the brink here of series point and getting this thing closed off with a 2-0, which, to be honest, I feel like this is really shocking because I felt this one had a 3-mapper written all over it.
Yeah, I think on paper it absolutely should have, especially the way that this New Mexico was going. But a couple of big rounds for AG.AL, a close one in the post plant, and then there they go for that push through water right down the middle once again. And I think it was, I'm not sure who was the first man there, but he got taken down so quickly, and then it just looked like Q9 were scrambling to try to stop the push. And the second you're scrambling against AG.AL, you're going to lose the round. So got to be careful about that. And that was AG.AL going for a very measured push. That was a little bit less crazy than the one we saw onto the A site, where it was like, okay, we're going to go slowly down, straight down the middle from water. And the fact that they got that first kill really opened the door wide open for AG.AL. And now on match point in this one, just need 1 round from the Blacklist side. And it feels like they've really hit their stride now in this map.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it. It feels like they're kind of getting themselves back into the winning fashion that we saw, you know, on the first map. And all they have to do, like you said, 1 round, and they are done with this series. So this is where Q9 have to be able to pull up 2 rounds in a row to pushing in overtime just to stay alive. And that's even a big question mark. If they can even do that, like, it just, where does this go? But seems like AG have been able to find themselves some really good opportunities on these attacks and catching Q9 off guard. Like right there's a little bit of a trade back, but it's just not good enough. That one is just not going to be it. Now XJ does go for the swing. He does find a kill here, but can Dway be able to find this? And he does. It's looking like it's primed, locked, and loaded. AG.AL might have themselves everything done here and now. Q9 relying on a clutch. He's taking so much damage, but it ain't going to happen. And AG, they sweep this series with a 2-0.
Really good stuff from them, especially at the end of their Blacklist run. 3 rounds in a row, and dominant rounds at that. And once again, it really just comes down to their quick, strong executes that are very crisp, and it just felt like Q9 crumbled there at the very end. A